Black Widow. Watch the trailer. It's better. Let's get started here in Nerdy Reflections. Hello, welcome to the Black Widow analysis from action to feminism. Let's start with the overview, which includes the scoring, and then move to a deeper analysis. So, Nerdy Reflections gave this movie 2 out of 4. This means, under Nerdy Reflections' grading scale, the movie falls under the classification of dirty chicken and not Rooster approved. For more information about our rating system, please read the description below. The storyline. This felt like what it was, completely out of place. So this takes place and has been released in Phase 4 of the Marvel Universe. But the film itself takes place after Captain America Civil War, but before Infinity Wars. Therefore, the only relevant scene that pushes the MCU forward is the post-credit scene with Yelena, who's Black Widow's sister, visiting Natasha's grave and being pitted against Hawkeye. So then our second criticism is that the movie itself felt disjointed. So the first half is marketed as a spy film in the vein of Jason Bourne and James Bond, but by the second half, it's completely different. It is a superhero movie. And even the action reflects that. So in the beginning, in the action sequences, it's very one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat. The second half of the movie, the action sequences get bigger, more explosions, more unbelievable action. And so it does taint the enjoyability of the movie. So then the characters. So starting with the villains. The main villain is General Dreykov, who feels like a villain simply for being the villain. His only motivation to maintain control over the Black Widow program is simply for the sake of control. He doesn't serve the Soviet Union because the Soviet Union has already fallen at this point, and he doesn't serve the Russian government because the Russian government doesn't even know that the Black Widow program exists. Or at least that's the impression that they give in the movie. And so he has no higher purpose for his actions, or at least we're not told in the movie. And also, another criticism that we had is that as the main villain, he needed to be the equal of Black Widow, but he's not. When we finally get to meet him at the end of the movie, he's defeated rather quickly. And even though he does try to fight with Black Widow, he only gets in a few good punches because Natasha allows him to. And so even though we're being told in the movie that he's this mass manipulator, he's this dangerous villain, no one has been able to catch him, and yet Black Widow by the end defeats him in a matter of minutes. And that was such a disappointment. So moving to the heroes. So Black Widow here felt like she had a regression in her character. So in the first Avengers movie, we're told that she already had her moral epiphany before the movie began, and therefore when we meet her, she's this strong, focused woman. She wants to right her wrongs, and that's why she acts the way that she does. By the time we meet her in this film at the very beginning, she's this character that's aimless. She doesn't have a mission. She's just moving from country to country, and she's just watching old James Bond's movie. And that wasn't reminiscent of her character, the character that we've known for all this time, for 10 years. And so I understand that in the movie they tell you that she is now an enemy of the state and that she's on the run, but the thing is she has been on the run before, so that shouldn't have shifted her character so much. There were, however, certain relationships that really saved the movie, and the greatest relationship that there was between Black Widow and Yelena. So Yelena, as I said before, is Natasha's sister, and her backstory as a mind-controlled assassin was both compelling and different from Black Widow's story herself. And so their reconciliation, they're building their bond again, and so they did tackle difficult topics like blood siblings over adopted siblings, abandonment versus escape. And so the audience built along that relationship with Yelena, and it made Yelena at times the best character in the movie. And so it also translated when they meet up again with their family, it translated for a tense family reunion. And so it brought in some other difficult topics like duty to country versus loyalty to family. And so that was very nicely done. And the actors themselves had wonderful chemistry, and it shined through in the entire movie. So moving on to the topic of feminism. So we'll start with the good. So this movie boasts a variety of female characters, from warriors to scientists. They were really the drivers of the story. And even though they had trauma in their past, they weren't the victim. That was not their only role in the movie. They were the drivers of the story. And so none of it ever negated their femininity. They were never over-sexualized, nor were they overly masculine. And then the emotional element was never pushed to the background simply to make them stronger. No, these were women. They were strong women. The bad. So Black Widow is a MCU female lead, along with Wanda and along with Sylvie. And her path is very difficult because of the trauma in her past. And yet here in this movie, it's handled with tactless humor. And it doesn't give it the seriousness it deserves. And that was unfortunate because that took away from the movie. Secondly, the women here were elevated at the expense of the male characters. So I'm thinking of 3 male characters in particular. So you have the first, which is a friend to Black Widow. And even though he proves himself useful, we only get a few scenes with him and we don't really build a relationship with him. The second male character that we meet, of course, is the general, the villain. And as I said previously, it's just a tragedy what they did with his character. And then lastly, the main male lead, which is Alexei, Black Widow's adoptive father. And so his introduction as the protector of the family in a family of strong women was amazing. It didn't negate his strength just to be surrounded by strong women, but by the time we meet him again when he's in prison, that has completely changed. He becomes the comedic relief. And instead of giving him some character development or a satisfying fight scene with Taskmaster or the other Black Widows, all we get is this large sequence wasted on body shaming him, which was incredibly difficult to see. We spend 2 or 3 minutes with seeing him trying to put on his old Red Guardian outfit simply for the sake of being funny at the expense of his body, and that felt completely wrong. It was so difficult to watch. Overall, it was the movie we expected it to be, with some enjoyable parts. But if you wanted to get to know Black Widow more and get an in-depth appreciation for her character, this movie is not for you. Thank you so much for watching our analysis, and as always, please subscribe and become part of our community. And comment down below about the film and what you think about the female portrayal or the male portrayal. We always want to hear your thoughts. And please stay tuned for part 2 of our Star Wars haul and giveaway, which we're super excited about. Bye!